Welcome into this special edition of the League of Extraordinary GMs podcast. Last week it went really well on Thursday, so we thought, hey, let's try it again.
Mm-hmm. Sober as birds.
Yep, definitely. This is a special night. This is my wife's birthday. Not to be confused with my high school girlfriend's birthday, which is tomorrow night, which I spent the first, 15 years of us being together trying to remember which was which and confusing 16th and 17th.
That's amazing.
Got it now, thanks to my Google Calendar. No more confusion. Reminders like 2 weeks ahead, week ahead, a couple days ahead.
Hours ahead.
Hours. Yeah, I think I need something in my alarm in the morning. Because even this morning, like you still wake up and it like takes an hour, like, oh shit, happy birthday. Yeah. I walked into the bathroom this morning and she's standing there staring at me. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are you staring at me right now?
That's amazing.
About 30 seconds later, after I like looked in the mirror, oh, happy birthday. I love you so much. Hugs.
You complete me and our children. And here are their cards.
Not tomorrow.
We'll have cards tomorrow. Yeah. So the greatest thing about my wife's birthday is it's your birthday. And that was the easiest thing of all time to remember.
Yeah.
So that was wonderful.
Yep.
And
yeah, I got to have some really great birthdays when I was living in Southern California. Man, remember PBR?
I do.
Private Box?
I do.
Yeah, that still I think is going to go down as my second best birthday party ever, to our joint birthday at the ranch.
Yep.
Roller hockey in the hay barn, checking our best friends on the sideboards where the cows get fed from the outside.
Can you believe we grew up like that, man? Like where we are raising our kids now.
It is a world apart.
It bums me out. Like, man, that was so fun. Like, not to get too personal, but Tommy's little 5-acre ranchette. I mean, I would kill for that. Not for the amount of work he has to do. Tommy has to do a ton of work.
Yeah.
And he had to redo, right? He had to redo when we all stayed there in who was it supposed to host? Was it Chris was supposed to host in Reno? And then there was a fire.
The smoke.
Yeah. And so we all stayed in Tom, and his up top wasn't done. But then next year we checked it out and in his garage. But man, 5 acres. Oh, it's like idyllic. I couldn't, by the way, like I have a hard time tying my shoes. So, putting together like a whole home would be a ridiculous thing for me. I could teach kids how to do stuff or read a book about it, but
yeah, it's a life I haven't given up on yet. But it's probably a life that isn't going to happen for a lot of us.
Yeah.
I think about that a lot of the time of just our childhood friends, our college friends, and so on, of just like, why do we all live so far apart?
Yeah.
Where is the real value,
So to that, because this is something that messes with me, especially this week. So like next week we're in Boston because Mikey lives in Boston. Mikey is so I have 3 brothers, for those who don't know, who are from my mom and dad. And then I have a sister, Georgina, who's from my mom and stepdad. And she's younger than the rest of us. But Mike lives in Boston, Sam lives in DC, and I live here in Orange County, California. And Georgina's currently here. And who knows what that means, because she's unencumbered, on her first job or whatever. and now I have 4 kids. And like tonight, we had a big day. I told you this when we were offset. Like, so Cece and I today won our wrong side. She had her 5th grade basketball championship game tonight, and I'm the coach. And we won 24-3. So we were nice. Not lying, actually. It was 12-0 in the first quarter, and the other coach had already had a technical and had been told he had to sit down the rest of the game because he's being a jerk. And I was like, girls, we're going to put her on because this guy's a jerk. And there's something like really sad because I don't want my girls to live here. Like, living in Orange County, living in Orange County in the OC as a girl, especially a blonde girl, is not a super healthy thing. And so I want them to go find themselves. And I'm going to be so lost. Right? And that's what our parents did. I mean, your brother lives in Colorado, and it's what our families did was they like forced us to go like do our thing. And I think that in like small town USA, like, man, people keep their people close, and that's so valuable.
It really is. And I could reminisce and talk on that topic for the next 2.5 hours, but this isn't
I know.
a psychology podcast. This is a fantasy football podcast. So bring it back.
Sorry, I apologize. It's a big moment. It's a big moment.
So tonight, like we said, we had some things that we were going to be texting back and forth about. So we thought, why don't we just jump on the mic and talk about them? And so we've got a few things. We got a little bit of sadness. We got a little bit of Dak. Got a little bit of Trey area. Got a little bit of trade talking. And some just general dynasty fun takeaways that we might get into. All that and more tonight on the League of Extraordinary GMs podcast. All right, so what do we want to get into first?
I was watching Mark Andrews. Holy balls, his ankle looks bad.
Oh, did he get hurt?
So badly.
Really? Shit, I tried to trade him in our Player Profiler Dynasty League this week.
Dude, so I just watched it. He's out for the season.
Fart.
It's bad. Like, it gets rolled over. There's probably ligaments. I mean, they're saying like right now they're saying he's out for the season.
So he's going to be as bad as Pollard next year.
Do we want to talk? That's again. Are we just leading into sadness tonight?
Sad.
Like, Pollard makes no sense. I have Pollard in 2 leagues, and I don't know what to do about it. It just doesn't make sense. It's so dumb because they're so good. Can we just skip to the Cowboys? Because I hate them, but I love them, but I hate them.
Yeah, so Pollard had an ankle dislocation against the Niners, right?
Yeah,
in the playoffs.
In the playoffs, yeah.
Yeah. And he had surgery in January, and it's no surprise that we all just assumed he would be fine and ready to go. And I don't think there was very much information for us on that topic coming into the season.
Right. And there hasn't been information throughout the season.
No, nothing.
Yeah.
But you have to assume that that's a major factor.
Because, I mean, we're going to skip to this because it came up. I am actively trying to trade. Warren texted me this morning, but I had already reached out to a couple people. I'm trying to trade away Dak because I don't need to win. And Dak is going to put up 40 points. Well, that's not fair. Dak is going to put up top 3 quarterback numbers for the next 5 weeks. And that doesn't make sense.
I mean, through the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Carolina, Washington, Seattle, Philly, Buffalo, Miami, Detroit.
But if you look at the numbers that Dallas has put up, they have beaten teams by 40, 30, 20, and Dak still puts up 46 points. And that doesn't make sense, right? Like at that point, Pollard should be putting up 25, 30, 35. Yeah. And he put up five.
Yeah, the touchdown production, I think, will come back this year. It's not
in the latter half of the season.
So he scored 2 touchdowns in week 1, and he's been at even this past week he's at 70% of snaps, majority of the work. I think it's coming. Like if this was a more cutthroat league, I would go after Jimmy and I'd try to get Pollard on the cheap, but we don't do that in our league. I would tell Jimmy, don't trade Pollard. Just keep starting him because I do think that he will score touchdowns.
But if you're looking at Dak, right? So post-bye in 0.5 PPR, he's put up 34, 32, and 43. And he's put up 300 yards, 370, and 400 with 4-3 and 4 touchdowns. And last week they won 49-17.
Yeah, he actually had 5 touchdowns last week because he also ran one in.
Oh, sorry, I missed that. Yeah. Like that doesn't make any sense. Why would
that game was weird? I remember watching that game at that birthday party last week and like, oh, they're still throwing.
That's what I mean. It's weird. It's like an anti Tony Pollard.
And vibe. Well, not that at that point, like I don't even think Tony Pollard should be in there. I mean, that should be the Rico Dowdle show at that point, right? But it was weird. Like, what are they doing?
And I mean, they have Carolina this week, then they have Washington and Seattle.
Every single opponent is a pass attack target.
Yep.
Which could be bad for Pollard, but back to the topic, Dak is. I think he's going to explode. I think he's going to finish the year as he won.
Oh, you think he's won?
Like as far as total fantasy points scored.
Yeah,
Even though he's got a 6-point game, a 9-point game, 16, 17. I think he's going to average over 30 points the rest of the way.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if he ends up 1, but he's an easy top 3. I don't see any possible way unless he gets hurt.
And that's not to say that Dak is all of a sudden the dynasty. He hasn't elevated himself into tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 even. It's just the situation that's in front of him is beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, I would call him probably.
He'll climb into tier 3.
So that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I was going to say you have here.
Yeah. So let's jump to that. Let's jump to that tier. So I have that.
Because it builds in the Stroud conversation you want to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I will say, I'll just jump caveat here real quick that I was listening to the Mind Mansion today and took a bunch of notes because I highly respect Matt Kelly and the Mind Mansion podcast. And so I want to just give credit to Matt Kelly and his honorable guest, Ian Hardtitz, who is a great analyst in his own right, formerly of PFF, now with Matthew Berry at the My Fantasy Life. When Matt Kelly has certain guests on, like I'm locked in. And Ian Hardtitz is one of those guys. When they have this conversation, there's this like mutual respect where it's just sometimes when Matt Kelly has a guest on, like Matt Kelly's opinion trumps all, and he just drives. He goes into that bombastic mode of like, no, I'm right. But when when Ian is talking, he respects what he's saying. So these guys had a really good conversation about QB tiers, which we're circling back to. So go ahead, Chatham. Let's break down these QB tiers, and we'll talk about Dak. We'll talk about CJ Stroud, and then the obvious guys fall in there.
So I just want to start with hard tits because I won a 5th grade girls basketball tournament tonight, and only because it's Newport Beach, there was a party.
What does this have to do with hard tits?
You stop it.
Oh my God.
Think through what I'm trying to say now.
I have to edit this out.
And I got home tonight and I said to Emily, I really enjoyed hugging, I'm going to just make up names so that if this were to fall past anyone, let's say I hugged Mom A and I loved Mom A. And I hugged Mom B and I loved Mom B because, we've had a really great season. We went undefeated. We were 7-0. These girls learned a lot. And then I hugged Mom C, and I actually think I have bruises from her breast.
Well, you are in Orange County.
That's what I'm saying. Ian Hardtits was not nice to me this evening. And so when you said hard tits, I had like some PTSD. So anyway, moving on. We're just moving back to what we're talking about. The God tier one is pretty clear. And I think
there's one that is getting foggy for me in there.
You think that Allen is foggy?
Yeah, so obviously let's name the names, right? So
yeah. So it's Mahomes, Hurts, and Allen.
Yeah, Mahomes and Hurts, clear.
Yeah.
Allen, it's not just the recent turnovers that makes me question.
Okay, that's fair then, because I was gonna say that's a recency thing.
That's recency, right? You got to throw that out. What is Allen when Diggs is gone?
Yeah. Yes. Because neither. Well, that's not fair. Hurts has everybody, but Mahomes has nothing.
And look at what Mahomes was doing at the beginning of last season.
Well, while you're looking that up, right? So, I honestly think it's fair.
Actually, he did. What is this? A wrong year? Never mind. He did fine.
I would say you could easily put Mahomes in his own tier because Allen is surrounded by dog squad. Like he had an INT the other day on Monday that was so wildly Gabe Davis's fault.
Yeah, that was definitely through the hands.
I mean, it was like boom, and then he runs and the guy. I mean, the guy is so talented at the NFL level and is surrounded by nothing. And I don't even know what they've been drafting. We should do a better job of paying attention to this if we're actually going to get good at this thing. But it's ridiculous how good that guy is. And if you put him on a really good team, like you put him on the Vikings, put him on the Cowboys, if you put him on the Niners, like the Niners are undefeated, right? And I think the world of Purdy. But you put Allen on a great team that is surrounded by good lines and great and that's not fair to say. The Bills' defense is decimated, but
which is a factor in their ability to replenish their weapons.
Exactly. So I still think that those three fit in the God tier. In we are the three best players in the league. So that's my because Hurts is so boring, and yet he's the number one QB in fantasy, right? Like he looks like he's, he looks like he's Murray, Kyler Murray. He looks like a chubbier Murray right now. He's like, I'm from Oklahoma, and I don't care. I don't like video games, and I'm really good at sports, and I don't really do the things.
If you took away the rushing, like if you cut down the rushing scores from Hurts down to a reasonable level, I think I'm just looking, he's averaging in not even in the 30s. He's like in the mid 20s across the season with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rushing touchdowns. That's a lot.
That's why he's God tier, though. Like that's why everybody. That's
So
why
what happens when he loses Jason Kelsey? Yeah, like there, or whatever the ability is for them to just.
But
He
that's
gets
what's so
to score
fun
every
about
rushing touch.
fantasy. That's what's so fun, right? Like last year, these three guys, this tier outscored the other tier by a standard deviation that
They
was
did.
bananas. And so
Yeah,
then
they wrote off.
everybody,
The
yeah,
entire industry wrote off
yes,
late round QB this
yep,
year, which what we're learning this year
didn't pay off.
is wrong.
Wrong.
Is wrong. This year, late round QB is back.
And people invested in people like Justin Fields. I have him 3 of our 4 leagues.
Yeah.
I have him 3 leagues, and it was
And
just
that's an
because of his
injury.
ability to score. You're right.
That's
You're
an
right.
injury take, right? So we don't want to lean into that. But you
But
look
who
at
knows
guys
if he has a
like
job next year, man? I mean, I think it's also alarming to for a Fields not to be too reactive, but to think like, dude, at no point has he been precise, whereas Hertz was enough. His auxiliary numbers, his
oh
ADOT,
yeah. No,
all
you're
that
right.
stuff was so much better
I
than
agree.
Fields. So just leaning on the 600 yards on the ground or the 700 yards on the ground or the 5 touchdowns on the ground, like that is what the fantasy world does. And so pushing that in is
I think that Fields will get back to that. Like he's got a thumb injury. There ain't nothing wrong with his legs.
you're right.
No,
But I
he's
mean,
gonna come in and
I was looking at
run the
mock
ball.
tonight, and they were
But
looking at Bo Nix for the Bears at the 105. I think the 105.
so anyway, so that's God tier 1.
Yeah, that's one.
God tier 2 is currently Lamar and Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
People have been talking about this season being an MVP season for Lamar. I kind of disagree with that take. Like I think it's the defense for the Ravens, and not to get too deep into that, but he's had a handful of really good games from a fantasy perspective. He's doing enough to win games from an NFL perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And he belongs there. I'm not saying he should be knocked down by any means, but I guess I haven't been as impressed enough with Lamar to say he's like this. People are calling him the leading MVP candidate. Well, why? Just because there's nobody else?
Yes.
Just because Mahomes already got one and Hurts is, like you said, is boring, and Allen is making turnovers, and Burrow's calf was hurt. So like is it by default?
Yeah. I think that's exactly it, man. I think I told you when we started talking about this last week. I put in money. I put in $20 on CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
It pays out at 540. He is currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the 4 guys in front of him are Hurts, Mahomes, Jackson, Tua.
When I watch CJ Stroud play football, it doesn't show up in the fantasy points because he doesn't have the rushing production. He doesn't have 7 rushing touchdowns.
Yes.
Or even 5 that Lamar has. And I mean, Lamar averages somewhere around almost 10 rushes a game, averaging 60 yards a game, like that inflates his fantasy numbers, which makes all of our community excited. Which CJ Stroud doesn't do any of those things
yet.
But on the field, as a winner of NFL football games, those things don't impress me. What impresses me is that highlight you sent me
Oh, so
yesterday of it was like a 13-step process
for a play that didn't count.
Yeah, and it
so
got
good.
called off on penalty, and I don't even remember. Maybe you remember what play it was, but just reading about 13 times over the sequence of a broken down play and watching his head move, watching coverage change, watching players move, watching rushers come and move, and to break all that down and still complete what ended up being a called off touchdown pass.
A dime to
the
a
back of
wide
the end
receiver.
zone
Exactly. A
from
wide
45
receiver
yard
that had
line.
gone wide. Yeah, it was
Like like the seventh cut.
It was brilliant. And that's what Lamar. So even watching Lamar tonight, right? So like I got Zay Flowers.
I didn't get to watch anything tonight. So again, wifey's birthday.
Yeah, that's fair. So Zay, so Thursday is kind of a night that I actually get to watch Thursdays and Mondays, and it's rare that I get to see something on a Sunday, which I recognize defeats the purpose of my hot takes. But tonight I got to watch, and it's fascinating about Lamar is that he just disappears, right? So like, he's going down. Everyone knows he's going, and it was the middle of third quarter, and there was a little moment where he had a shot for a little shovel pass to Zay, and Eddie knows who's on my teams. My little 8-year-old fart face, and he's like Zay, and I'm like Zay. And Lamar takes 6 yards as opposed to a little shovel pass to Zay at the corner. And then Zay takes 12 yards. And it just seems, and listen, this is not a dig on Lamar at all.
It's great for fantasy, but it's not great for.
I do think actually that this is the best Lamar we've ever seen. I mean, he is 8-2.
Other than that 4-game stretch at the beginning of his MVP season.
But I mean, like
2021,
his team is asking him to get first downs, right?
Yeah.
They're asking him to not turn the ball over. And as everybody knows, the NFL is scripted, and we've already seen the logos, and it's going to be purple on red. So it's going to be Niners on Ravens. And that's
horrible. Wait, no, that's not our coach.
Fair enough. and Lamar is like doing everything correctly. And so I think he's evolved as a quarterback, but I think he is limited as a quarterback in the sense that, I just think CJ Stroud's 12% on the smart scale thing that he did. Like, I just think that he waits to make a pass to his playmakers, and Lamar still is riding on. He's a fucking incredible athlete. But I think the difference now is that Lamar is making plays that are 8-yard plays. Now he's not trying to make a 40-yard play every play, and so he's continuing his progressions. He's continuing, and so he's easy handing it off. He's using it with Gus, now Mitchell. He gives it to, OBJ for 9-12 yards. But, his little like, oh, what do I do? Zay for a nothing, nobody. And now I turn this into 40 yards. He can't see that. And so that's my other thing. So like, if I were to put Lamar and Burrow, a healthy Burrow, I put very above Lamar. Very.
In NFL terms, for sure.
In NFL terms.
Yeah.
But even fantasy, because like a healthy Burrow runs more than we think, in the same way that a healthy Mahomes runs more than we constantly give him. He's like a 400 yards a season. Burrow's like 500 yards a season. And I don't think it's hard to imagine Stroud 2 years down the road doing what he did. And I texted you this today against, like, if you remember the Georgia game against Georgia, the penultimate play, he runs 30-something yards. Maybe it's the third to last play. but he runs 30 yards, and then they make the dumbest play call of all time because that's how horrible that coaching is at Ohio State. But he ran 30 yards, and it's like a setup, kick to win the field goal, and then they did some stupid run up the middle. They lost like 6 more yards. It was terrible. But CJ Stroud, man, like he has the athleticism to do what Burrow does, to do what Mahomes does, not what Lamar does. He's not an athlete like Lamar, but I don't know, dude. I think it's pretty easy to see Stroud in that tier.
Yeah, I think we want to elevate him there because we're excited about the young guy.
Yeah.
And he might realistically belong in tier 3, sharing that with only Justin Herbert, with maybe a Dak can get back to, maybe a Kyler can get back to. But he's somewhere right there in between 2 and 3. And we blur these lines of NFL and fantasy, and if Stroud were to mix in that rushing component,
right,
he's there.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be like the Lamar style, athletic, go get it to get the first down rushing. It's better off being the Mahomes tactical scramble, broken down play, go grab 14 yards because, well, there's nobody over there.
Right.
Go get it. So anyway, that's a good little run through some of the top tiers of the QB ranking. But back to Dak. So with him being on your team, and a team that isn't really in the mix this year, you don't want, I mean, like we said, we don't view Dak as this perennial God tier quarterback. So it doesn't really help you this year because you don't want to win. And can you expect to get that God tier production from Dak in years to come? We don't think so.
No,
So you're thinking I should maybe move off of this guy.
Yeah. So I'll say this, like, first of all, I don't see Dallas falling off next year. So if Dak ends up being my guy, if I'm splitting and I'm like, we talked about this, right? So like the difference between a Stroud and a Breece Hall going, 4 or 5 is hard, and you got to make best decisions. And clearly I make bad decisions. So I'm going to pick the wrong guy every week. So I would rather just like set and let it forget. I think Dak next year is still, with this offense, it's only going to get better. I think he's got a 2-year run, right? Like a very real, you're in it to win it. And I think Murray has a run, right? Like, I mean, the dude's young, whatever, it doesn't matter. So I tried to trade him to Sam this evening, and Sam was no part of it. I tried to trade him to you, but the difference between what you're giving me back Tua and 2 in 2 years and Dak in 2 years, I think that is you're losing. In 2 years. I think this year it helps you. I don't know if you beat Nick and Tommy. I think that Dak,
and by losing, you mean that over the 2-year span, Tua will be better.
I think Tua ascends to 2 years from now, so we're talking 2025. Yeah. And so I'm starting 2025 with TreVeyon Henderson and Wilson and Igbuka and all of these dudes, and you're like, well, that was dumb. Why did I give up Tua for Dak when you lost in the semifinals twice in a row, right? So I do think that Dak helps Nick and Tommy this year, because I think
Sam and Tommy. Yeah.
No, but even Nick, I mean,
well, Nick, Dak will probably outscore Herbert.
That's what I was just gonna say. So Nick has Herbert and Dobbs, which is awesome, but but Dak's going to outscore Herbert, right? Like there's a good chance. I mean, Herbert's never healthy. And so not having that, and I wouldn't want anything from Nick that isn't like a Charbonnet or an Atwell, or maybe even get Dotson back. Huge can go F himself. And then with Tom,
I think Tommy's the target because he's got Justin Fields and Jordan Love.
the only problem with Tommy is like half of his team is my team, right? And so I feel like Tom feels like I'm preying on him, which is not fair because my team sucks and his team's awesome. But if I'm looking at Tommy's team, do I
What are you trying to get?
I know. Do I ask for Douglas?
Yeah, and you already got his first from JT.
I know. So to ask for so would it be a Dak first 2025 first? Like that seems. I don't know that Dak's worth the first. I don't think Dak was worth the first.
Maybe a 2025.
You looking it up?
Yeah, you can keep talking while I do.
No, I just and Sam's out, so whatever, that's fair. And so then you're looking at Ross, and Ross has Allen, and I think Allen's gonna outpace, or Allen will be even.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
And like I was saying earlier today, Dak's value is only going to keep going up over the coming weeks as we bring him back up
and into next year. Yeah.
From around QB 10 up to the around QB 7.
Yeah, and then yours is similar, right? Like it's Dak for Tua.
Yeah, and for me, it really came down to I just hate the Cowboys. I love the Dolphins.
Gotta hate the Cowboys, man.
So anyway, we've been waxing on that topic, but you had one more thing you wanted to say.
No, I was just going to talk about Mike McCarthy things I sent you yesterday. I just the more I watch about him and like him overcoming his like personal, tribulations, like, dude, the guy is a fucking winner in life. I just want to root for people like him, while we're drinking, and he's a recovering alcoholic.
Oh,
huge.
You said Mike McCarthy. You mean Mike McDaniel?
That's what I said.
Yeah.
You just lessened.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I didn't realize we were pro Mike McCarthy.
We're not. It's Mike McDaniel. Again,
definitely pro Mike McDaniel.
Recovering alcoholic.
Yeah. Like me on Halloween night, dressed up as Mike McDaniel, drinking beverages. I felt like I was a little out of character. But anyway,
passing out flyers. Here's your local don't drink anymore.
So back to the sadness. So I had to get a trade done this week because I've been stashing A-Chain on my IR, and Nico Collins is also sitting in my IR because he's been out a few weeks. And all of a sudden I'm in a spot where like I either have to drop a couple guys, and I like almost everybody on my bench and I don't want to. So I made a deal with Ryan where I sent Curtis Samuel, AJ Dillon, Baker Mayfield, and Trey Lance.
Trey Mania.
For Devin Singletary. Ugh.
Trying to win. Trying to win. We're here to win games.
And it's 4 piles of nothing for 1 pile of something that might score points this year. And I talked to Ryan about it. I basically just said, look, you don't want this guy scoring points for you. You're also trying to tank. He's going to score a bunch of points over the next few weeks, and you don't want that. I need bench space, so let me just barf my bench on you and give me that guy. And maybe I'll start him, maybe I won't. And whatever. I was probably going to have to drop a couple of these guys anyway. But we bring this up because it makes me sad, because we all believed so much in the future of Trey Lance. And to not, I did the whole chair sinking thing again. I even bought a shirt.
Yep.
Trey area, Trey Lance and Trey Sermon, man.
Oof.
So much hope.
Yeah.
And I sent you Tua and Trey for Dak, and you were like, Trey Lance, seriously, get out of here. No, I'm like, no, like, look at the quarterbacks that are starting around the league right now.
Fact.
Danny DeVito.
Yep. Yep. Short. He's a twin.
Banana Rama.
Yeah. Fucking Bill Baggins.
Who's the guy starting in Atlanta right now?
Not Ritter.
No. It's really bad to blank on there. Don't worry, I can cut this out. Heineke. Taylor Heineke starting in Atlanta. I mean,
doesn't make any sense.
There's about 10 over the last few weeks. There's been about 10 quarterbacks that have started in the league that really have no business starting. I mean, there's good backups, and then there's backups that should never step onto the football field.
Yeah.
They're just practice squad guys that are supposed to prepare the defense. They're like, most backups, their job every week, they don't even know the playbook that their offense is deploying. Mm-hmm. What they do is they deploy the opposing team's playbook for the defense to practice.
Well, look at the Browns, right? So the Browns are starting Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Darian Thompson-Robinson.
And this week, RG3 was asking for the Browns to sign him.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He said.
How old is he?
100. Let me see if I can find it.
Let's guess. Let's guess. How old do you think he is?
30.
I'm going to go under by 1. I'll go 29.
Nope. I just found it. He's 33.
33. Good Lord. Yeah, that makes me feel old.
And here's his quote. I understand the game better than I ever have in my entire career. I know how to slide. I know when to slide.
Remember, he didn't know how to slide? I think he got injured trying to slide. He jammed his knee into the turf.
So point is, there are like 14 startable NFL quarterbacks. And then they're just dudes who exist, who are going to get hurt. I mean, you look at what happened with the Rams when Stafford went down. You look at what's happened. I mean, any of these backups today, they are not the Matt Castles of yesterday or the Jimmy Garoppolos of yesterday. I mean, these are guys who have no business.
There's if I look down the list, there's about 22, somewhere between 20 and 25 quarterbacks that should be starting. And then that's when you get into the names of Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell, Taylor Heineke, Zach Wilson, Desmond Ridder, Ryan Tannehill, Jimmy Garoppolo, Mac Jones, Jameis Winston, Tyrod Taylor, Sam Darnold. I really think that Trey Lance belongs in at least in that range.
I mean, he's not worse. Why not? He's not worse than Dalton or Keenum.
Yeah.
Right.
And it made me a little sad that he went to Dallas. Why did you leave San Francisco? Like your path to starting it did not improve. I mean, not that it was his choice, right? Like he had no say in that, right? Like, Niners were just trying to get whatever they could get.
Right.
But he wanted out, obviously. Like the reason why they traded him, because he was no longer wanting to be a part of this situation that he, failed in and lost the job. Yeah, I mean, if he had gone to any of these other 10 teams where there's been a massive injury, he'd be starting right now.
Right.
So that's why I say I do think Trey Lance will get an opportunity to start again at some point. It may not be as a week 1 starter, but I think he will play football again. And is that meaningful to a single QB league? Maybe, probably not.
Right. Well, but in our dynasty leagues, we hold 3-ish quarterbacks, and so
we are talking about I really think we should move to a super flex system because these guys are fun. Like I'd rather pay more attention to the Baker Mayfield,
Brock
the
Purdy.
starting quarterbacks, Brock Purdy. I've got Tua, CJ Stroud, and Sam Howell, and I only get to start one.
Fact.
I'd love to have Dak on my team, but why would I give up a non-QB asset to go get him?
Yep. And on my team, even though my team sucks, if I'm starting Dak and Kyler against
Fire.
Exactly against Tommy's, what is Tommy's starting
Fields and Love.
Yeah, dude, I am looking much better.
And obviously, if we were to implement that as a rule, it wouldn't be next year. It wouldn't be an immediate sort of thing.
No,
It
it'd
would
be a
be
couple
like
years.
2025 at the soonest. And we may even do some sort of everybody can only carry 2, or even we may even do a valuation total.
Right.
You can only have a total value of using player profiler
400
lifetime
points or
value. You can only have 500 points or something, and you can carry a Hertz and a
Nobody.
Sam Howell, right? Right, something like that.
A Hertz and a 3rd round pick.
Yeah. Anyway,
it wouldn't be something that doesn't make sense given. So it wouldn't rebalance the league in a way where I, as the 8th best team in the league, would suddenly jump to the top because I have Dak and Murray. Whereas,
yeah. And Albert threw out when I was texting Albert, or I think I was talking to him. We were on Racing one night a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about the idea of bringing Superflex into the league. And his first thought was everybody only gets to keep one. And at first I was like, oh, okay. And then I thought about it more and more, and I was like, no,
yeah,
it doesn't make sense. Because then the valuation is it's a big scale.
Right.
So whoever has one of the God tier,
yeah, exactly,
massive advantage.
Massive.
And for guys like maybe you and me, or my team's a good case with
your team's a great case.
Guys,
Stroud's your number 1 guy.
So I have to drop 2 startable dudes, and other teams are dropping Ryan would be dropping Baker Mayfield. How is that fair?
Right. So you're keeping Stroud. If I'm looking at your team, right? So you would keep Stroud and Mayfield and Tua. Well, you may not be able to keep.
Or I could keep, or maybe I don't know. I could keep Stroud and Tua, and Ryan could keep Mahomes and
Mayfield.
Yeah, whatever. Right.
Right. Exactly.
He could keep the 1 and the 24.
Mahomes and Watson.
Mahomes and Watson. There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
and that elevates him ridiculously, and that keeps him in his spot. Whereas, for me, it's Dak, but I have 3 right now. I have a very startable Geno Smith, who is untradeable, useless in a trade.
And maybe if you choose to drop under the valuation threshold, you get a compensation pick to cover. So let's just use arbitrary numbers. Let's say you get 500 points of player profiler's lifetime value.
Right.
And if you're only using 350 points of that with your 2 QBs you choose, then you get a compensation pick equal to 150.
Pick. Right.
A late first rounder or something like that, right? How fun would that be? That's so much more dynamic and logical.
Right.
I think we can make it work, and I think we should really continue this conversation because it really makes more assets more fun to use. And like Sam, like I don't want Dak. Well, shit. If it was Superflex, he would be
all over
on
that.
his knees begging, right?
Yeah. Because again, Sam, since you're going to listen to this, your quarterback put up 4 points last week and mine put up 50. I mean, your QB2 is, I don't even know how to say his name, Aiden O'Connell. Like, come on, bro. Come on, bro. And I am asking for a lot, actually. I was asking about Drake London. So, like, that's a thing. You can
It's a
come back and
very
be like,
depressed value, though.
very depressed. I mean, they have to fire a coach. They have to hire a coach. Sorry, they already fired the coach. They have to hire a coach. They have to figure out an offensive scheme. They figure out how to get Pitts and London the ball. I mean, they got to get rid of Josh Jacobs because he's gone next year. Who's going to be the running back? Like, their whole situation is making no sense. And
Aiden O'Connell is not as
it.
good as Trey Lance.
He's not it. No, right. And Stafford's older than dirt. And so I'm giving you Dak, who is a 2-year asset, who is stronger than Trevor Lawrence. So again, we go to Superflex, and you're like, this is a dumb thing. You're not even starting Drake London. Hey, Sam, watch. You're not even. Where is Drake? Oh, he's on bye. Never mind. Fair enough. Good point.
I just hope that these Trey Lance rookie cards gain value someday.
Better. Send him back to North Dakota.
Hey, there's a dynasty takeaway. Let's get the F off North Dakota State football players.
Fact.
Man.
That's an easy takeaway.
You know this hat? You know how old this hat is?
Your dad wore it.
That's original.
God damn it.
That's from the 80s. I wrote my name under the brim in Sharpie.
Oh, man.
And like bled through the top.
You were like 4 years old. It's good handwriting.
Yeah. It's not bad.
Your penmanship was always legit.
I almost, maybe one episode I'll pull out the Michael Jordan signed.
Please don't. That so hurts my heart.
All-Stars hat.
Hey,
if you turn 100 and I'm still alive, I will give it to you for your birthday.
Okay. Hey, bud.
Deal.
If I turn 100, you beat me by 11 days.
That's right.
My physically closest friend in life, 6 miles instead of 7 to town. Hey, before we end this thing, do we want to talk about my Dameon Pierce trade this week?
In seasonal?
How I pooped all over him.
Let's fucking talk about Dameon Pierce. I'm picking these up. They don't belong on the floor, so I had to pick them up.
I pooped all over Dameon Pierce 2 days ago, and I was like, that guy's an idiot. This is the stupidest thing of all time. And then I texted Warren. I texted. I'm not a smoker. I don't smoke. I texted Warren, and I said, hey, Warren, I traded for Dameon Pierce. And all I got back was a lull. Like, just as it was it was like,
I can't believe you traded for Dameon Pierce.
I know. So granted, it is a keeper redraft league. That's an auction league. And what I had Bijan, it's $200. So I had Bijan, you got to fill 14 spots, and he cost $63. And I traded Bijan. Basically, I traded Bijan for Hurts. But then, like, the guy wanted another, doesn't matter. And so I was like, I'll take Dameon Pierce. And I was like, even in making it, I was like, this is the most sacrilegious thing I've done.
Let's save that for next week because I have a whole segment planned.
On HN.
On Dameon Pierce.
Oh, you
No,
do.
this isn't A chain. This is just my Dolphins jersey that is also really sad. See, it's signed.
You gotta get lower. You gotta
Right
add
here.
on lower. Oh, Miles Gaskin. Oh, scheiße.
I was just a year too early, man. Speaking of Dameon Pierce and guys that aren't fast enough to hit the hole in the zone run scheme.
It's a fact. It's a fact. So
Hey,
what?
he was a Husky. He was Mike McDaniel's starting running back going into the season. I was so excited.
So
Like,
are you buying in on my take? Is that what this is now?
I just love the Dolphins.
I know you do. I know you do.
I wouldn't even know this is a Dolphins jersey. Where's the fucking dolphin?
I don't know.
Lame. I'm taking it off.
When I see that jersey, I just think of Jim, not McCarthy. Jesus, Mike McCarthy. Jim Carrey, and I think like, and then he's like, the laces are out, Dan. You jerk.
I'm just gonna go back to
Is that
Old
Bijan?
Faithful.
Are you the Bijan?
It's just me.
Oh, I love Super Camario.
Just me and Alvin Kamara.
Super Camario.
My office is littered in Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, he's the man. His teeth, the whole bit. Yeah. So anyway, for next year, we'll see what's going on. My redraft league is a lot of fun, and I need some help with you helping me there.
Oh wait, I got another one.
Oh shit. More Kamara.
That one's actually an official signature.
These other ones are fake?
That framed one's a fake, yeah.
Buttheads.
That one's real. Still love them though. Anyway, I meant to pull out. I had all these props set up. I've got a whole stack here.
Well, we're here, and cutting is a thing.
You know what I will say is, don't bother buying one of these camera holders. This thing sucks. I'm not even sure what this is for.
Fellatio.
Anyway,
time, same brain.
I guess I could cut all this out. I probably should.
Nah, Jimmy will love it.
It's work, like
Jimmy will love it.
The more we do this, the less interest I have in editing.
Yeah.
Is it? So this episode is currently 1 hour and 2 minutes. You really think I want to sit here and listen to this and edit it for an hour and 2 minutes?
I'm not gonna lie, man. I've never made it to end of one of ours. I listen about a half hour and then I close it and think, God damn it, we're good. That's exactly how it ends.
I actually listen. The problem is I listen to so many others.
Yeah.
That I just want to get more new information. It's not a lack of interest in hearing it back. It's just it's a time optimization. I do listen to a lot of ours, just bits and pieces here and there to get better, self-correct.
I listened to my take on Coleman last week, and I sounded, or sorry, not last week, just a couple of days ago, and I sounded bored versus the Neighbors one, and I think that just happened to do with like I was fighting a cold and I beat it, and I didn't, and it kind of bums me out because I'm like really high on Coleman.
Yeah, do it again.
Yeah,
I mean, we've got, when is the draft? May. We've got 6 months. There's plenty of time.
And we talked about this, like, I had looked at Neighbors and Coleman thinking I would get 2 done, and I looked at them the week before, and I was so freaking high. Like, it was so exciting to spend 40 minutes on 2 players and just watch them. And then it's like 3 weeks later, and I'm like, yeah, so Coleman.
I know.
Those games.
That was the same thing with my Henderson and Rocket. It was like, wait a second, this is like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, kind of gets back to like I know I'm not saying don't do rookie takes now, but there's a lot of NFL stuff to talk about
Yeah.
now, and there's not going to be any NFL stuff to talk about after January. And we can keep doing this, maybe not weekly, but periodically, and the only thing we can talk about at that point is rookies.
Rookie. So the
Not
only thing, the not the only thing, the reason I was thinking about that is I was being offered so many first round picks, and I was thinking through, like, you know, someone give me a 108, and I'm like, I mean, Brian Robinson sucks, right? So, like, he's not a great athlete. He's not a great running back. He's a great story. MFR got shot to start his career. Everyone roots for him. Everybody loves him. He will have his job for 3 years. But if you're trying to tell me, like, if you're going to give me Egbuka for Robinson, like, you're missing what dynasty is. And so that was my whole thing, was like, just, we talked about this, like, trying to convey that a late first round, a 108, a 109, a 110 is not worth giving up unless you're Tommy or Nick, right? Unless you desperately need a guy who's going to put up a consistent 10-12, because you're trying to win this year and next year. And anybody else is like, dude, do not waste your time. Do not waste your money. Do not waste your draft pick. And so that was my thing, was like, this year is an all-time wide receiver class, all time. There's a redraft a new mock that came out today that had 8 first-round wide receivers and 4 first-round quarterbacks. It was Penix and Nix added to the first round. And I don't know that they actually go first round, but irrelevant. It's now 8 first-round wide receivers. And it's like, man, if, there's no reason for these guys at the end of our drafts, at the end of the first round, to give up a first. And so that was why I started doing that. And you're right, it's early, and there's NFL to be had. But again, it was just trying to satisfy the league and make the league think, like, do I want to trade with Chatham? Do I want to trade with Albert? Do I want to trade with Jimmy? Do I want to trade with Ryan? Do I need to trade away these 108s, 109s to maybe compete this year? No, you don't. You really don't. Because, like, Zay Flowers, I got Zay Flowers. He sucks. Because frickin' OBJ is taking 3 stupid targets that he doesn't deserve. But
So it turns out Zay Flowers is Rondale Moore.
Yeah, I really hope you're wrong. God, he's open all the time. But point is, like, we want Zay Flowers. You want to invest in that guy.
Hey, you know what?
Years.
If Mark Andrews is done,
hey Sam, why do you want
maybe
Zay
go
Flowers?
get Zay Flowers in seasonal.
Mm-hmm. I have Zay Flowers in my seasonal that I'm gonna frickin' lose out on. Butt farts.
All right, we've got a great show lined up for Tuesday. We're definitely going to talk more about Dameon Pierce and several other things. We crossed a few things off the list, but we'll have some more content after this weekend's games. I think next week's going to be a good show because I don't have as many distractions. Like, I was out of town all weekend last weekend, so I've got some good notes, got some more props. Better props lined up for the YouTube followers. We don't have followers. I don't know.
We need some Liams. Dude, I'm telling you, I texted you and Ruck, man. We need our I need you guys, I need your addresses so that I can send that so we can wear our merch, because we haven't got any bites yet online.
Number 1, Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C. Just send it.
I think it's 1600, but whatever. Same thing.
All right, man. Well, thanks for making my Thursday night entertaining. It's definitely bedtime. Yeah. So we're going to call it here. Good night, my friend. And good night to the league. Peace out.